It's Dave Johal once again for the Boxing Voice. Please be joined by Ekow, the Engine Eussuman. How are you, Ekow?
Yeah, hi man. I'm good, man. Yeah, nice and relaxed.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about the experience you've had. Wembley, 94,000 people. You were expected to be fighting this Friday at the York Hall. You get the call, the fight gets pulled forward because someone else's fight got pulled.
Yeah.
So first of all, just talk us through how it went down, because I take it was an interesting call, and then you had to kind of get your mindset saying, look, I'm going to be on this massive card.
Yeah. Well, it was a bit weird because on the Monday night, like I was dithering and dathering in my sleep, and I kind of woke up from a dream, and the thought crossed my head like, I'm gonna be fighting this week. And then I kind of just parred it off and thought, well, no, I'm fighting next week. The chances of me fighting this week are like next to none or whatever. And then I've gone to training that very next day. I think it was the bank holiday Monday. And then my manager's just rushed into the gym, and I knew he'd just been on the phone. And he goes, "Oh, I need to ask you something." And I just said to him, "Jimmy, whatever you're gonna ask me, the answer's yes." And he was like, "Well, I guess you're boxing this week." And I just said to him, "Well, I guess I'm boxing this week then."
Ekow, what's it like? Because when you are so close to a fight, because you were going to be out on the in York Hall, Bethnal Green, you were going to go out to that, weren't you? And in terms of like rehydration and everything like that, what's it like pulling that forward a week, and in terms of the training, is it an easy process or?
It's not really an easy process. I mean, it's doable, and it's obviously I did it, and I was still very fit and doing what I do. But like a lot of the time in my camps, I'll always make sure I'm touching the weight about maybe 2 weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks out from a fight anyway, just because that's how I like to be. I don't like to be one of these boxers that literally crashes the weight week of the fight, losing loads of weight. I like to just chop away at my weight slowly and be within striking distance. So the weight really wasn't much of an issue. It just had to be pulled forward just like by a week. I think the other things that come into play when things like that happen is just the psychology of it. And I didn't have my taper week where I'm just resting and getting your energy and getting the buzz for the fight and whatnot. And then just a few other little, just the little top-ups boxers do, maybe fight week and whatnot. But saying that, when we thought about it, we thought, well, there's no point getting too caught up with that, because as boxers, both of us were in the same position. So there's no point me thinking, oh, well, I've had to pull my weight, making weight a week in advance, or I've had to pull this a week in advance, because he's in the exact same position. So it's not like I was giving away anything. So it didn't really matter. We was both in the same position, so it's still fair, and that's all that mattered, really.
How was it then, the experience overall? So 94,000 people, what was a record-breaking event at Wembley Stadium. Frank Warren was absolutely elated. Tyson, Fury, Fury-Whyte. What was it like being part of that mix? And the second one on that as well, what happened to the people that booked tickets for York Hall? How did that work out? Did they transfer?
Well, some of the people who booked tickets were able to transfer over, and then others had to others that, well, they booked tickets but hadn't paid for them, were able to book sort of tickets in the stands for the show. So everyone was more than more than happy to just come to the show, because it was just one of those shows that everyone really wanted to get down to.
And for yourself, then, I mean, in that crowd, how was the night?
Oh, it was a crazy night. It was a different kind of a buzz. I tell you what, I'll never have to worry about a crowd going into a match ever. I'll just go in. It could be any crowd. I wouldn't be fussed about it, because I mean, on the build up to the match, everyone was saying how it was going to be the biggest boxing crowd at a match ever, and it was just the biggest boxing event. And uh, I knew it was, but obviously, as a fighter, you're in the ring, and there's another boxer at the other end of the ring, and you're supposed to do what you just need to do. You're not focused on what's going on in the crowd and whatnot. Yes, the crowd can influence you, but you're not focused on them as such. So I just took it upon myself not to think about how big of a crowd there was going to be, because at the end of the day, I just needed to focus on the match. But saying that, when I started to walk for my ring walk, I had my hood up, my music started playing, took a few steps, and I thought, okay, yeah, it's time to take the hood down and just take in the ambience. Took my hood down, looked up, and I was just like, wow, now this is a crowd. Like, this is different. And yeah, just soaked up the energy and got onto the ring.
Yeah, and you got the win against Darren Tetley as well. What was he like as an opponent? Have you spoke to him after since, or?
Yeah, no, I did speak to him after the match. As an opponent, he was quite tricky. He was good with his distancing, so he made it hard for me to set my distance in the first half of the match. And he was awkward, and he did hold a bit. Well, it wasn't quite a hold. It was like just good underhooking. And from the ref side of things, the ref didn't see much. So sometimes I'd be underhooked, and the ref would say, "Oh, your hands are free. You can work." And I'm thinking, I can't really work. I could just like give little shots, but I can't really work. But it is what it is. It's just have to get on with it.
I mean, you're ranked now 12th in the IBF, so you're almost busting the top 10. You've got two
Yeah,
IBF versions of a title as well. Sorry, one IBF version of a title.
yeah,
Um, you are almost there now for these big names and everything like that.
yeah,
Conor Ben's ranked slightly higher than yourself. You got Marco in there as well. Your fellow gym mate David Avanesium.
yeah.
What does the future hold for you this year? Because it could be a massive year for you.
Oh well, the future this year, next year, well, the next 3 years is just gonna be massive. There's gonna be some exciting fights, and it's just something I'm really looking forward to, and preparing for as well.
I mean, it's one of these, isn't it? Because when people talk about David Avanesium, he's in the what some may consider the high risk, low reward category.
Yeah.
The Who Wants Him club. And for yourself, would you say that you were also part of that as well? Because
Yeah, I would say I am also part of that, because like say Marku, he has such a big following behind him that people would want to make the fight, because they know, yes, he's bringing such a big crowd. We're gonna make loads of money. There's a buzz around him. He has a huge following. So yes, let's make the fight. Like, it just made sense. People would just target him or for that reason. Whereas myself, I went under the radar for a bit, and it's the last year or so has really been my like coming out on the scene party, where I've just like grabbed the British with both hands, and then the Danny Ball defense, and then now this defense. So yeah, I mean, relative in terms of gaining my exposure, I haven't got as much exposure as much as them, but just got to build myself up the ranks. And when I'm made mandatory for certain things, and I really have got myself in that position, then people they can't avoid you. Yeah, they can't avoid you.
yeah, I mean, your fellow Cityman Lee Wood was put in that position.
Yeah,
He's delivered. and now the world is his oyster. I mean, have you reached out to Lee recently and stuff? I mean, he's got some big nights ahead of him, potentially Josh Warrington, right?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I've had a few phone calls with Lee like over the past few months, and yeah, he's a really cool guy, down to earth guy. Like when I've had little predicaments or I'm not sure about certain things, in terms of boxing and contracting and just looking for a little bit of advice, then I'll always, he's one of those people that I can just pick up the phone and talk to.
I mean, what were your thoughts on going back to Fury versus White first of all? Fury saying he's now done. He's retired. That's the end of that saga. Do you think this is the end for Tyson Fury first of all?
Uh, I, I personally don't think so. I think it would be a shame if that was the end, because he put in a brilliant performance, and he kind of, his style was slightly different. I'd love to see him fight Usyk and your AJs, just because it's just unfinished business. If he didn't box them, people would always be like, oh, I think the so and so would win, or I think that would have been such a great matchup. So it's just one of those.
And what about Dillion's comments about the push and the rematch? Do you think that was justified? Is it is it hard to see anything else but a concussive Tyson Fury win with no argument? Do you think Dillian was justified in his comments, or?
Um, I I saw what he meant about the push, but he was concussed before the push. Did it take much of a push to put him down? Who knows? But I do get that, how he could feel aggrieved about that. I think in terms of a rematch, it's heavyweight boxing. Any punch can change the match, and so with that, I mean, if he was given a rematch, I wouldn't really complain about it, to be honest. I think back in the era of heavyweights, before it's kind of new era where if you take one loss, people kind of fob you off. Um, the heavyweights used to box each other, even having had lost the heavyweight title. 2 fights later, a heavyweight could have won it back, because they're all in and out of boxing each other, just trying to prove who legitimately is the best. And I think that would be a good thing to follow nowadays, because then everyone would get to see the fights that they're really kind of dreaming for.
I mean, another big card that's coming up on the Queensbury Night of Nights is 21st of May at Pride Park. Andrade versus Parker. Can we see you down there? Because it's only 9 miles down the road, Echo. Can you see yourself on that card?
Who knows? Who knows? You never know.
It's literally
Waiting for I got some cuts in the match. I'm waiting for them to heal, and then back in the gym.
that would be ideal, won't it? I mean, looking at the welterweight division as well, Spence is clearly ruling the roast in most of the division. Sorry, in most of the governing bodies, and there's other people that are just fringe contenders as well. Do you think it's open to anybody, this, in terms of like Crawford, Spence? I mean, how do you see this going down? Is it just a
um,
race at the minute with everyone else? Once they've gone, you can start contending for this, or?
yeah, exactly. I mean, by the way I see it is, I'm not sure if he'll still be there by the time, like, the likes of everyone who's at the level I'm at start reach the rank to contend for the world title. So I feel like, yeah, your point is true. It is kind of wide open, because there are a lot of prospects within like the top 15 of the world rankings that are like real genuine prospects. It's just a matter of time of getting them to that position where they can challenge for these world titles. and you always have to account for that unknown boxer that no one's really heard about yet, that just drops into the scene.
Yeah, I mean, Amir Khan and Brook, it's fair to say that chapter was quite concussively over now. There's no point going back there. But, do you think Kell Brook is still relevant in the welterweight division? Or do you think that's something that
I think he is. I mean, he put in a brilliant performance last time out. He probably shut people up in terms of writing him off after his losses in maybe his last few matches. So yeah, I'd say he is still relevant.
Just very finally as well, are you going to be watching Shakur Stevenson versus Valdez this weekend?
Yeah, definitely. That would be a wicked match. Yeah, I'll definitely be watching that.
And what do you think? How do you think that one's going to go down? Both unbeaten.
I think Shakur Stevenson should win it, but I don't think it's going to be an easy match.
No, it's going to be an interesting one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Both titles on the line and so on and so
Yeah.
forth. Okay, look, any shout outs, anything else you want to plug before we?
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out to all my sponsors, to my coach, my family, and all of Nottingham for getting behind me in this last match. I've had been inundated and flooded with messages of support and just messages of people congratulating me afterwards as well. And yeah, thank you guys.
Okay, mate. All the best from the Boxing Voice. We'll catch up with you soon. Well done on the win, and
Thank you.
hopefully they heal and we can see you at Pride Park. That would be great. 9 miles
Yeah.
down the road. But brilliant, mate. All the best, and we'll catch up with you soon.
All right. Take care, mate.
For the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingVoice. We have tons of exclusive from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.